Welcome everybody, my name is Michael and today we're discussing about a Bitconnect promoter that was part of the $2 billion scam that got recently sentenced to 38 months in prison. And the reason he is in prison right now is because he was in America. A lot of the Bitconnect promoters were from India, and yes, some of them were arrested, the big boys, but many of the promoters who were outside of America and were not some of the executives that were on the actual board of Bitconnect, they're still free and they got away with millions of dollars. And yes, I understand that the promoter himself was not getting the $2 billion. And yes, part of the $2 billion did go to paying out. One wave of investors was paying for the second wave, for the third wave, for the fourth wave. So a portion of the funds were used to pay out customers, incoming customers. And eventually they were served a cease and desist. They ran out of money and the whole thing collapsed. And then there was a brief glimmer of hope for Bitconnect 2.0, but we all saw what it was. And they were never to be seen again, except for the promoters, some of them. Some of them were busted. Others, nothing happened. So Glenn Arcaro was sentenced to serve 2 years and 10 months in prison. Again, if you're being sentenced to serve, hold up, 36. He was actually sentenced to serve a little over 3 years, 3 years, 4 months. There we go. He was 45 years old when he went to prison. And to be quite honest, as long as he had the money, then I wouldn't mind sitting 3.5 years, or actually a little bit less in prison, probably less with good behavior, for $24 million that he was forced to forfeit. I'm sure he had some other funds hidden away. If not, he was really silly. And in many of these cases, these guys got away with not 10,000 or 100,000, but millions of dollars for what turned out to be weeks or even months of promotion. That's it. You just promote a thing for a couple of months, and maybe you promote it to friends, family, on your YouTube channel, to your Telegram network, to whatever it is. And why is someone blocking me in? What the heck? Okay. So I'm always worried that if someone parks right behind me and they're blocking me in, that it's like this paranoia, unfound paranoia. No, I'm not living in Colombia. And no one is chasing after me. I always get that paranoia for whatever reason, which these guys probably are living a life of paranoia. However, you've got $50 million in the bank account. I'm sure you'll be just fine with that. You know, I just saw a Ferrari 458 driving, actually twice, saw him cruising around the neighborhood. And I'm sure you could buy, 10 of those and have a great mansion and be living abroad in a country where the dollar goes pretty far. As many of these guys did, because a lot of them moved to the Caribbean, to India, to Southeast Asian countries that are okay with millions of dollars in crypto money and won't deport you. As we have seen with Mr. Do Kwon's case, which, by the way, there was an update in that where Singapore said he's no longer in the country, so we don't know where he is. A lot of these people, which Do Kwon is less of a criminal, obviously, than these guys openly promoted a scam where Do Kwon was just responsible for a hedge fund that was over leveraged, which South Korea considers a crime. Maybe it is, maybe it's not, but Bitconnect was straight out a Ponzi scheme. They knew they were never ever going to pay out every single person, not even half the people. And a lot of people lost money. And some people made money investing, but a very small portion. And then of the many who have made money, many were involved in actually promoting the project. And we were discussing these HYPs, Laser Online and Regal Coin and Control Finance. And there was a lot of these popping up right around the ICO days. And Bitconnect was the largest of them all. And remember Trevon James and his buddies from Steemit? That was all the rage back then. And the Department of Justice, of course, got involved. But this guy was definitely a larger promoter in terms of, it wasn't just $1 million or $2 million. 24 million that was seized. That's a huge amount. And he still had that right now. Where, by the way, if it was in crypto, yes, it has gone up since 2018. But still, we're in a much lower situation than we were, let's say, last year. So maybe he had 30, 40, 50 million. And I'm sure he spent a little bit of the money. I mean, come on. So maybe he stole 50, maybe he stole 100 million. It's absolutely crazy, these amounts that people were able to get away with in a couple of months. Okay, so reading further into it, Satish Kumbani, one of the main guys of the whole project, he was indicted last year. He was an Indian founder. However, he moved out of India. Well, no duh. If you had made such a huge amount of money, I don't understand why you would still stay in both of these countries, but mainly in America, where the hammer is going to really go down on you. Although an Indian prison, I'm sure, is not pretty. In America, why would you stay if you know you're not going to get away with this? I just don't understand how foolish you can be. It doesn't matter if you have $1 billion, you're still going to get caught. Which, by the way, of the $24 million that was seized, this was seized later. $57 million additionally was actually sold last year from his money that was seized before. So he was ordered to forfeit an additional $24 million when he was going to prison. So all in all, 24 plus $57 million last year, which again, probably a lot less. So maybe he stole easily over $100 million. That is a crazy amount. It is a question of morality, though. Some people will say that the executives, the actual founders of the company, are the scammers, while the promoters might have been innocent. Depends on what extent, of course. But I do have to say, many of these guys who made the big bucks, 50 million, 100 million, of course they were just as guilty as the founders. Now, when it's also a question of morality, a lot of people will say, hey, you do it for 50 million, 100 million, 200 million. I mean, that is life-changing sums of money. But you also have to remember there was a lot of people who suffered from it. There was a lot of people who lost their life savings. Again, kind of feel bad for these people, but you also feel that they did a very, very dumb decision to invest all of their life savings when they know they couldn't afford it. It's called greed. So everybody's just as guilty. Now, of course, others deserve to be in jail, but not the victims, but they are guilty of being greedy and their consequences, and they're going to have to live with that. Just like I am guilty of being greedy in the crypto markets back in 2018, and I'm still living to this day with the consequences, and I know that the consequences will be here probably for another 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5 years. But my credit score is improving. My financial situation is very slowly but steadily improving. So we learn from our mistakes, and now all we can do is educate those who might fall for additional HYPs. Do you think these guys are going to stop? No. There's always going to be con men in the world. There's always going to be the next Bitconnect. And right now, I'm sure there's at least 1,000 scam projects related to crypto at the moment that are active. I'm sure every single day there's more and more that are going to be created. They're very easy to create. Obviously, the more you invest, the better they look, the more money you're going to grab. But it's interesting, and there's plenty of YouTubers who are involved in the project, and nothing's going to happen. So it is what it is. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Hopefully you're enjoying the last days of technically summer, because technically, even though it's still September, it's summer for another week or two. Wish you guys all the best. Happy autumn, and bye. He was over there.